Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's free enterprise presentation of the Fabul Gauntlet. We are in week 2 of the brackets, and we have got one heck of a race here for you tonight. Zilch6 taking on beernerd1, 20th seed versus 29th seed. Very, very close in the seed ranking this early in the tournament. This is going to be one race you'll definitely want to catch. I am here joined today by Antidale here in the comms booth. Antidale, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to this great race between two giant slayers. Beernerd taking out Dusty Griff, who was the World Series of Free Enterprise champion and who had also done very well in the Highway to the Zima Zone 2. And then Zilch taking out Dia, who was definitely one of the favorites to be kind of somewhat on a dark horse. She had done very well in the Hemingway Open last summer, has also been doing a great job in other races throughout. So both of these runners, Zilch has played well before and is a well-known name, and Beernerd's definitely one of the newer runners to Free Enterprise, at least to the community.
Yeah, certainly one of the newer runners, but definitely one you're going to be wanting to keep your eyes on in the coming weeks and in any future tournaments. Taking out Dusty Griff is no small feat whatsoever. Like you said, former champion and just all-around phenomenal Free Enterprise player. So that is a huge notch in the belt there for Beernerd. This is kind of an interesting way that this has all come out, the way that we have this tournament organized. This is our first ever 1v1 tournament. And, seeing these sort of matchups and these upsets happen has been really exciting to watch.
It really has. And this is pretty much the last round where you'll get to see one and done. So this is the very last one and done round. After this round, we go to best 2 of 3 matches for the last 3 rounds of the tournament. So we have up through Sunday, I believe, is our last race of this particular round, to where everything is all on the line in just one race.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting transition, because then you're going to have, the chance to adjust to how your opponent plays. There's going to be a lot of scouting on the table as far as, how each individual runner plays at this point, how they react in different tournament settings. So you're going to see some very, very furious competition there. Just like we will tonight, of course. That is a Porum, so a little bit of white mage action for us at here.
Yeah, and that tower key not going to be too helpful early. And I do really love the objectives that Scala Kitty has written out for us that are our fun set of objectives, very Chocobo-centric. I love them. They're wonderful.
Yeah, Chocobo is a very important part of any Free Enterprise seed. Make sure you give me proper appreciation to our fine feathered friends. So yeah, Sid start, definitely something I always like to see in a Free Enterprise seed. It means you're going to have generally an easier time in the overworld. Not a late game powerhouse Sid, but early game, he can really carry his own weight.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the starts that makes the Rivers champion strategy of skipping Fabul, if you can, a little bit easier to do. You won't need the experience that you might get from Fabul in order to do ordeals or even beernerd. And we've got some of our objectives. We saw launch the Falcon, defeat the Queen of the Town of the Monsters, so the Asphara spot. We have to find Mom Bomb. We have to wake Yang with the pan. So we'll have to find the pan. And then defeat
the loss of underground-centric set of objectives here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
You always hate to see something defeat the Queen of the Town of Monsters. Those 2 spots in the Fame Arch do not mess around. They can be very, very difficult to get into. Already we're seeing some diversions here. Beernerd going for the classic Baron play, while Zilch is heading all the way over to Damsian and getting right into the looting.
Yeah, and we saw Dark Imps, which is at the first Baron spot, which is a horrible spot for them for our runners. I'd much rather see something a little bit nastier there, because that's a pretty easy spot. And it looked like that was a Dark Knight Cecil in having drinks with them. So we do have a Cecil in the seed.
Yeah, always exciting to see Cecil in these seeds, just because with all of the checks being made, there's an increased likelihood of finding one of those coveted Holy Swords. Knowing that Cecil is one of the 7 out of 12 characters that you're going to have means that you're very likely to have a late game powerhouse in Paladin Cecil, especially with ordeals being so much more incentivized in the objective set. Much more likely he's going to be online. He's going to have the hardware he needs to really carry your team in the late game.
And Zilch finds Pale Dim taking a bath in the waterfall. That's the second Lunar Sparkle we've seen so far, since one gave us the tower key earlier.
Yeah, Pale Dim, one of the easier lunar sparkles that you can find, so maybe a little disappointing to find out that it's going to be in a spot no one needs to go to. But yeah, here's a check you don't see very often outside of this particular flag set, but with this um, with the T-Pro C flag on, our runners are going to have to look everywhere for some loot. Ooh, already finding some nice stuff. Aegis Shield Soma drop in the Waterfall Cave. Not bad at all.
Yeah, and a Blizzard Spear is good work if we find Kane, too.
Yeah, I'm always a huge fan of that Aegis Shield, especially, as mentioned earlier, with Paladin Cecil on the line. A lot of magic defense in that. And since Zeromus is an entirely magic-based fight, it makes sure that Cecil is going to be just A-OK if he has to tank a couple of those big bangs.
Yeah, and not only magic defense, but also resists mages. So the Baron Guards want to not do too much damage to you, and neither would Asura or the Mega Sister.
And Zilch going through the front of the waterfall here. Not some terrible stuff. Change Rod be really good if we find a mage to make good use out of it. Beer Nerd, however, is heading right for the Antlion Cave.
Yeah, Zilch's not finding too much to really accelerate his start here, so Beernerd's play looks like it might be pretty useful.
Yeah, that being said, all it will take will be one mid-tier hammer or something to really up Sid's damage to make these checks worthwhile. Maybe some damage items that might be able to throw out in these early fights to accelerate them. But yeah, like you said, we're not really finding much of anything of that nature here at this point. But here's a shout check. Maybe there's a... Nope, nothing there. Ooh, that's Fusoya, so that's going to be a Zesty Sand Ruby if and when it shows up.
Yeah, that's real good information for Zilch. If we get an early hook or Darkness Crystal, we'll definitely incentivize him to go check those out to see if maybe there's another copy of Fu in one of those locations.
Yeah, not only that, but that also means that Fu is just in the seed. With only 7 characters available and 13 spots to find them, there's a very good chance that Fu is waiting elsewhere as well. So even if the Sand Ruby doesn't show up, still a good chance our runners will have that Lunarian in their party at some point.
Yeah, and while Zilch has been doing shop checks and looking at Kaipo in the front of the watery passage, the dive into Antlion has looted a poison axe as well as a headband for Sid for Beer Nerd. So that is some pretty good stuff. That poison axe isn't great late game, but will definitely do something and sell for a good chunk of change.
Yeah, it's a great intermediary item for Sid as he moves on to finding something better, possibly later in the seed. Yeah, its accuracy is pretty trash, which can really limit Sid's potential later. But right now, great item, and yeah, sells for a good chunk of change. So when he does get rid of it, it's going to help finance some other stuff.
Looks like we have a duplicate Porum guarded by a Dark Elf at the top of Mount Hobbs that Zilch is going to reset out of, while Beer Nerd fights CPU.
Yeah, and this flag set, dupe characters not allowed in the party, so really not much incentive whatsoever to actually go through with that fight and recruit Porum. Zilch going to follow Beer Nerd into Antlion here and take on CPU himself after a little bit of looting.
It would be interesting to see if Zilch takes that knowledge that Porum is up there, if we don't find any cursings anywhere, and if there are enough characters for him to be able to go recruit her near the end of the game. That will still be the same Porum, same copy of Porum, so it would have all the same levels.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Always a good idea to keep stuff like that in your pocket as a potential. So yeah, gets rid of Porum at some point, can go get the duplicate Porum, bring Porum back in, and have a useful agility anchor there to tank Zeromus' stats. So yeah, not a bad idea.
And Beer Nerd picking up that rat tail from CPU. It's a key item. Can't do anything with it yet until we find the hook. And then we'll be able to take the, with the hook and the Enterprise, take the hovercraft over to the Adamant Grotto to turn it in for another potential key item check.
Yeah, we'll throw that in the bag alongside the tower key, as will be useful later. But right now, it's just Antlion Cave down, and we'll be moving on to the next check. Beer Nerd first going to check Hobbs, probably going to reset out when Porum shows up, same as Zilch. And yeah, there's the reset right there.
Yeah, just kind of stare at it, take that scene in, and be like, no, y'all are cool right here.
It's like, yeah, it's like you walk in on something. no, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm just going to back out slowly. Y'all do you. And here's the Fabul check. Is it an item check, or is he actually going for the boss? Nobody tell Rivers.
Yes, are you in a hate to see it or love to see it mood?
With a team like this, I kind of hate to see it. Like you were mentioning earlier, Sid really makes it so that you can sort of put this Fabul check off as late as you can, especially since, you know, at some point you're going to have to use that pan anyway. Trying to get as much value out of as few checks to Fabul as possible seems like the way to go. But beernerd's going for it, and this might pay off for him. We'll see after this fight is... Well, that's demist, so... a lot of potential for value here.
Yeah, the extra key item check possibly out of those demists, since we do have no free key items turned on. The item that in vanilla is the twin harp that Edward gives you in the bed in Troya is now instead given to Rydia's mom, who sunbathes after you defeat her dark mist form, or dragon mist form.
Zilch is out of Antlion Cave. We're going to see what Zilch's play is. Going south. I think this... Okay, checking Silvera first, but he might be headed on the way to Ordeals. Might be Zilch's next destination.
Yeah, this is one of those 50-50 routing checks on... You never know what the runner's going to do, whether they're just doing some item shopping and will head back up to Fabul, or if they're just going to go ahead straight down and start doing Ordeals.
And demist is down for beernerd, making quick work of that fight. We're going to see what the King of Fabul has for us, and potentially get some bonus check in here as well. Well, it's not progression, but that's a pretty nice bow that he had sitting by his side there.
Yeah, do you think the king maybe like fell and tripped on the bow, and that's why he's in bed?
You know, that's now my personal headcanon for this seed. Just really bad at archery, stumbling along into the archery range. Just, yeah, this is why the Fabulian monks stick to just hand-to-hand combat, because they just do not use weapons properly, apparently.
Yeah. And Zilch finds another headband as well as a Bacchus wine on some of the checks on Ordeal.
Yeah, that Bacchus wine might be a little bit more important than ever, since Bacchus wines are going to be a bit of a rarity, unless, say, a ninja is received and they find a good way to steal them, to farm them up. Bacchus wines, of course, set the Berserk status, which is key to a lot of strategies, especially in melee-heavy parties. And on these flag sets where you have treasure and shop items at a premium, those consumables just grabbed out of treasure like that can be very, very useful in the right situation.
Yeah, and even though Porum picks it up pretty early, it's sometimes nice to be able to use her to blink instead, and then have your Zerkers self-Zerk, if possible.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about the action economy of just having your Zerkers set it up themselves, especially since once they're in that Berserk status, they essentially are getting more turns than they ordinarily would. Since the AI is entering the commands for you, it prioritizes your commands, kind of pushes enemies a little bit to the back of the ATB queue, and you just ultimately are getting so much extra damage and so many extra turns out of that Berserk spell. You want to get it on sooner rather than later.
Zilch finding Baigen and throwing a nice blizzard at him with making good use of Sid's extra HP, since that is an HP-based item.
Yeah, showing some really strong knowledge of the game and how certain of these elemental damage items do damage based on the character that uses them HP. Sid is a fantastic thrower of those items because, yeah, he starts with a huge HP pool. Can really do a good load of extra damage with them.
And your reward for doing Fabul is a pass and 2 samurai bows.
Well, you can sell one of them, but we're on a quarter sell price, so maybe not getting as much value out of it. So yeah, Fabul threatened to have a good time with the Derek Miss bonus party, but yeah, looks like the correct play here is to fade on Fabul for a little bit.
I mean, I definitely don't hate it with both the characters that we have in the party able to use it.
Yeah, that's true. You're not going to be completely unrewarded for the play. You are getting some some decent equipment out of it, but yeah, ultimately I think that's going to give Zilch a little bit of an advantage here, just in the short term.
And Scala Kitty, our free streamer who rolled the seed, giving us what fans always want, the kick heard around the world.
It is one of the more beautiful things of the randomizer. The back attack Yang around the world's kick, ladies and gentlemen. Almost as good as the around the world Zentetsuken.
I mean, I feel like the kick's just a little bit better because you see it longer.
That's true. I just find the absurdity of the Lord of the Norse pantheon just sort of turning around, running away, and showing up behind you.
Yeah, that is really glorious. And here we got Plague at kind of a gross spot. This won't be too hard, but is not super great.
Yeah, the problem here is going. This spot has about 4,000 hit points, so getting through all of that while still having to manage that count spell with only 2 characters is really rough.
Yeah, it does get the life off in time to make sure that at least Porm is back up. We'll be able to life sit up soon. It looks like it's going to go for one of the reflect kills.
Yeah, I like this. I think this is a strong call here. I think that's the best way to approach this, is going for the reflect strategy, making Plague do count itself, and then preventing him from reapplying that count so that eventually the count actually works on him and spells his demise.
And Zilch is through an Octomom in the Ordeals room and has claimed the hook.
So that'll go very nicely with that rat tail picked up in the Antlion Cave as another key item check. But there's the Magma Key in beernerd1, so it is not a hook seed.
Oh, that's spicy. I mean, with that, if that wasn't DKC, then also you might think about fading Ordeals entirely.
You might, but yeah, the potential of having Paladin Cecil on your team as you go into the underground is just too good to pass up.
Yeah, and as chat points out, we do still have to launch the Falcon because that is objective number 1.
That's a very good point. So yeah, we will need to go through the hook route eventually, but I don't think it's going to be our runner's priority in getting to the underworld. Yeah, as beernerd proving, going immediately to Aggr here. Gonna skip Ordeals for now, it seems.
I mean, with the pan, I don't dislike this play. You kind of maybe want to go check your freebies, get some better equipment or things underground, do some more shop checks there, and then go to Ordeals when you're a little bit stronger. Because while Ordeals isn't hard, it can be a little bit long, and if you can pick up a few free levels somewhere, maybe say King Queen Evelyn at the Queen of Summon Monsters spot, that'd be real nice and be 20k XP.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I don't believe they have the pan right now, but it's something they are going to have to track down at some point as one of the objectives.
That's right. I had just mentally checked off in my brain that Wake Young with the pan meant you had the pan. It's been a long week.
It's perfectly okay. I still think you're right, though. I still think there's a lot to be done in the underground that can show up here. But ooh, Zilch getting the Baron Key. That's a little bit extra stuff to do on the above ground, and that's probably most importantly for the party right now, a potential extra character joining the party.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see Zilch go and check the underground or the hook character also right away.
So yeah, some very, very interesting divergence here, getting us a 2 very different looks at how the seed is progressing.
Ooh, and Cure 3 is in that item shop. Yeah,
getting some early Cure 3s is very nice. That is an excellent source of healing. Porum is a fairly fantastic white mage, all things considered, but it really, until you start getting Cure 3 and higher, isn't going to be able to do that sort of burst healing you really need from some of these nasty hitting spots here. Cure 3s makes a lot of these checks a lot more reasonable now.
Yeah, it'll make recovery a little bit easier if Sid is able to toss Cure 3 on himself and Porum's able to blink up instead.
Yeah, exactly. Porum can sort of focus on preventative damage, whereas somebody else can actually throw out the Cure 3s for the actual healing, and that'll be a way more efficient way to utilize her. Yeah, so don't blink on either runner right now, because we're about to get some very important checks.
Yeah, neither runner doing a whole lot of looting. I mean, it is both of them had been going through some fairly dangerous places with trap chests.
Yeah, I don't blame Zilch here for fading all of these chests right now. Just does not have a party that can stand up to that stalemate encounter in the trap chest there. And oh my goodness, there's a Rosa.
And also, there's a pan that was picked up in the Sylph chest. Or not the Sylph chest, the Summon Monster chest.
Yeah, that is an enormous amount of checks right there. 3 checks just from the pan itself, from the Sylphs, and then 2 from Sheila. So yeah, this is potentially big for beernerd. This might open a lot for him. Zilchovers can have that Rosa, and there are some samurai bows out there if and when he decides to go to Fabul.
Yeah, I'd imagine Zilch is going to pretty much. Looks like he's going to save right here. Probably do a little bit more looting and then go directly to Baron Castle, and then I bet going underground and then doing Fabul all in one go.
Yeah, I like this. This is a very heads-up play. Very smart approach to this. Knowing you've got the save point here, you might be able to save scum through a stalemate here and loot as much as you can. And with this T-Pro setup, these chests that are locked behind key item gates are going to have a lot more value in them than you would get in, say, your starter chest. So there is more incentive to actually try and loot these chests and maybe get a few good things for your team. There's the Staleman chest. So is Zilch actually going to try to... No, resetting out. Just waiting a quick second before he did.
Yeah, that is one thing with the Staleman chest and a Sid. That prisoner shirt actually is kind of useful against them because it does prevent you from being put to sleep. And so I'm
Castle are not allowed to sleep.
Yeah, I'm occasionally tempted to do that fight with that Sid. And we did kind of miss saying that there is a Dr. Luge and a Mylon of some form in the Fey March, with the Mylon being the required boss there.
Yeah, that isn't the worst thing that you could see there. There are definitely some nasty things there. Mylon, generally a single target hitting fight in both of its forms. It's going to be really fast, so you might have to be reviving multiple characters per turn, but it's not the nastiest thing you could see there. Still, definitely going to want to get some levels before you try to tackle that fight.
Yeah, and that black belt's going to be very nice that Zilch just picked up.
Yeah, a lot of characters that can really utilize that. Sid and Rosa both would benefit from it, and just all around one of those pieces of gear you can always see yourself going into the end game with. And that's our first objective complete, and that's a Moon Veil, and that could equal a free boss.
Yeah, depending on which Mylon that is, that makes it either entirely free or just mostly free.
Yeah, always want something like that in your inventory, just sort of representing a get out of jail free card. So that's a pretty big pickup, even if it's not strictly progression. And grabbing a few mute bells there, I like it. It's a smart play. We still haven't run into, say, those Baron guards that can cast those nasty counter spells. So yeah, mute bells can definitely deal with them. So I like that grab by beernerd.
Yeah, and if we find any sirens or chests or anything, that would make a warlock grind free once we get into the lunar subterranean.
Yeah, always want to be on the lookout for all these alternative grind options when you have such limited availability of these high-level items that we normally see in abundance in some of the easier flag sets. Not the case in the Fabul Gauntlet bracket flags. So yeah, you want to keep all of those options open when it comes to gaining experience. That's an adamant. That's actually a little bit exciting because it's halfway to an Excalibur. Oh, and Sheila's got the whole
good.
Excalibur. Wow. Sheila turns out to be the Lady of the Lake, passing out swords, determining kings. Unbelievable.
That is a huge, huge lead. I mean, it's not an actual lead yet, but it's one that could turn into a lead for beernerd if he's able to really capitalize on getting that Excal Cecil online.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm beernerd right now, I'm like, well, let's anoint this Dark Knight, have him bid farewell to his bloodstained past, and put this Excalibur in his hand, because that is going to be a massive amount of damage.
And it also opens up that Coca-Cola shop, which is the single place where you could go buy sirens, hourglasses, or coffins, or Bacchus wine.
Yeah, the importance of that cannot be understated. These, as we were mentioning earlier, that in the sort of easier flag sets that we're used to seeing up until now, where these items have been in abundance, the only place they can be found in this flag set is that Coca-Cola shop. So getting knowledge early about what is available as far as your resources for those items could be huge. They're going to be expensive, and money's a little hard to come by when you can only have a quarter selling price, but that can be a huge bit of knowledge to have.
Yeah, and Chad is asking, what exactly caused you to be as excited as you were? And it was indeed both halves of the Excalibur that Sheila had for us tonight.
Yeah, and I'm just generally excited whenever Cecil gets to see play. I'm a Paladin fanboy, what can I say?
I mean, really, who's not?
And a little bit of inventory fantasy 4 here for beernerd. Getting through it pretty quickly. And speaking of getting through quickly, it looks like Plague is down for Zilch and is going to add the Paladin to his team, though he doesn't know how exciting that is right now. But now he's got that Magma Key, and now the Underground is open. We'll see if he follows a similar path to beernerd, or if he decides to hold off on the Fame Arch for now and miss out on that pan and all the goodies it has.
Yeah, that's really going to be one of the deciding, or at least one place where a runner could get some pretty significant advantage over another in this particular seed.
So yeah, you occasionally get these sorts of seeds where there is a sort of a dearth of key items early on, but that is not the case here tonight. We're most of the spots we've checked have been paying out in key items, so makes you wonder where the drought is going to be here.
And beernerd using a couple of vampires. Unfortunately, the second one was targeted against the Baigan, who was able to throw the wall up, so got reflected the vampire off of his own Sid, which is a little unfortunate. Luckily, this spot doesn't hit very hard, so it isn't really made to pay for it too badly.
Yeah, if there's anyone you want by that unfortunate reflect, it is Sid, because he can actually stand up to the reflected vampire there, unlike the rest of his party.
I don't know how many he picked up, but it could be interesting to maybe have Porum toss a slow and then start, which would cause Baigan to wall again, which would give you something to reflect the vampire off of your own party.
I see, that's some Galaxy Brain strats right there.
I don't know if it's actually worth it, but it's a possibility.
But it's something you can do. You definitely feel smart. And down goes Baigan's final bicep.
And we'll get another series of kicks around the world from Yang here.
And yeah, just a couple of shout outs here while our runners are sort of retracing each other's steps. This restream tonight being handled by Scala Kitty, and the tracking tonight is being done by Twisted Flag. So make sure to give them a follow, show them some love. We cannot do these streams without our behind the scenes crew. So seriously, huge thanks for volunteering your time.
Yeah, and the whole Restream team, all volunteers, have been doing such a wonderful job the entire tournament.
Yeah, there's been a lot of enthusiasm around this tournament. A lot of people have been stepping up to help out, and it's been really great to see. We've had like a record amount of runs throughout this tournament being able to be restreamed. So we're glad you're enjoying it. We're glad everyone's helping out, and just huge thanks to everybody in the community for everything that they've been doing. It's been a wonderful event. And the worldwide kicker goes down. Gonna get us a paladin here in a second. And a hook to go along it. And we'll see what Beer Nerd decides to do with that new fresh hook in his inventory.
Yeah, he can feel really confident in the team he has, especially with an Excal Cecil being online soon. That maybe you go do the tower key and top of tower. It's a little risky, but it might be possible.
It's the kind of play that I wouldn't be surprised to see in these sort of one-on-one matchups where you're trying to outthink your opponent, trying to think, try to think around what they might do, make the play that might be the difference maker. It wouldn't shock me to see Beer Nerd do that because yeah. You've got a solid party. It's only 3 people big, but you've got a large amount of damage in Excal Cecil. You've got Sid, who is doing his job, being an HP tank, throwing out the items that's necessary, and Forum can throw out the status buffs, do a little bit of healing. So you've got the fundamental elements of your party there. So yeah, I would be feeling a little bit confident. Maybe make a risky play like that.
Yeah, though we do know both runners have checked the Kaipo bed and do know there's a Fusaya in the seed. So maybe they would go check, maybe Beer Nerd goes to check the hook route, would pick up a Rosa then, and maybe decide to go do Baron for a pretty easy character, and maybe not risk running into a hard group of bosses at Dwarf Castle for a character check too to get that Fusaya.
Yeah, Dwarf Castle seems maybe the most reasonable of the checks on the table. Especially because that comes with a character check as well. I think, yeah, Baron Castle and Dwarf Castle, maybe leaning a little bit more towards Baron if you're not confident, and Dwarf if you're a little more confident. Yeah, those seem like the most likely plays. I think, yeah, the going into the tower is definitely I'm making a big gamble here. Let's try to see if we can bust this seed wide open.
Yeah, we do know there are curse rings available. I don't know if we had seen Beer Nerd make the check in this armor shop, but the curse ring is available in any gated armor shop, possibly, and is a great item for the end game and just to be able to control your turn order when you're able to set your agility anchor's agility to a low enough number.
Yeah, always a pleasure to see when you already know you've got a Sid available to you. It's kind of a sigh of relief once you've got that curse ring in your inventory. It's like, okay, we're not going to be dealing with a super fast Aromas. Things are going to be a little more controllable. It's the times when you can't seem to find a cursed ring for the life of you that you start to panic a little bit.
Yeah, and you start kind of figuring out how to manage your experience for different characters. And Zilch going to give us the knowledge of which Mylon we're going to fight.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is just scouting. I don't expect him to actually fight it.
Yep, that looks like a very quick reset.
Yeah. Though with Mylon Z, I might be tempted to slap that Aegis shield on Cecil, back row him, throw as much armor on his... Well, no, he's still very low level, so I don't think that would work. But maybe get a few levels on Cecil and do some back row low HP cover strats might be the way to just get through that fight.
Well, and we do have a Moon Veil that the Zilch will give him as soon as he takes that pan and goes to visit Yang.
Yeah, that is a very good point. That Moon Veil could make a cover Cecil strat just free, essentially.
Yeah, it's something that maybe you want to think about maybe saving it for a little bit to figure out where that Mom Bomb is, because there are some awfully rude spots that Mom Bomb could exist, where she would punch very, very hard, and you might want to save that Moon Veil for one of those.
Yeah, I had a slight hiccup, so I didn't quite catch what was in the Cocal shop there. I'm not sure if anyone else managed to.
No, I did not.
Well, we'll before long here, based on the way Zilch is routing the second. But yeah, here's the Evelyn check. So that's going to be a Rosa in Beer Nerd's party here before long. We'll see if he decides to maybe do anything more than just the character check here.
I mean, since we know that Plague and D-Lunar and Pale Dim are out of the pool of Lunar Sparkles, I don't think I would bother going down this route any further yet.
Yeah, that's going to only leave some really nasty stuff there to contend with. Maybe the easiest of them to deal with would be the D-Lunars, with an Excal Cecil being able to hit them very hard, but then you're also going to be triggering their script to go into Virus at that point, so you got to be very, very confident you can get them over with very quickly, or else you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, if it is the Lunars at the Rubicon spot, you're probably going to see the Lunar Frog strats, unless we could just go at a much higher level where we have like Cure 4 available on our White Mages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pan was actually at the Fame March free chest. Baron Key was at Rat Tail.
And Zilch now getting the news that Sheila indeed has the goods. And Zilch is in the area, so going to do some defending of the castle himself. No progression here, just going to be at the pass and a couple of samurai bows if he's so inclined.
Yeah, which Rosa is definitely going to be very happy to get her hands on one of those bows.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice catapult to her damage. She is, probably the best user of the samurai bow with aim command, eliminating most of the bow's accuracy deficiencies. Yeah, it can help her be a moderate damage dealer. Just a fantastic bow for her to have.
And Porm is bringing out her Inner Monk, doing a little bit of punching here when she runs out of arrows, or maybe it's just unequipped.
She's a very brave preschooler, we'll give her that.
I mean, she faced down Wyvern here at I think one of the very first seeds of the tournament. I had Mega Nuke after Mega Nuke.
I had trouble riding a bike when I was her age.
Hard same.
And now it's Zilch having the inventory issues here. Just a lot of things are, especially since they're not getting a ton of value out of selling it.
Yeah, not much value out of selling it. You still don't know who all the characters are, so you would need to leave some stuff in your inventory.
Yeah, there are 7 characters total. We have seen 5, I believe. The 4 that currently have and Fusoya. So still 2 characters up for grabs. Could be anybody. And there's still some really nice characters out there that I'm sure our runners would like to add to their party for a little bit of insurance, though. You've got the power couple in Rosa and Cecil, and honestly, that's all you really need.
And Beer Nerd, fighting the Stalemate chest, unfortunately finds out that they do not like coffins and just kind of ignore them.
Yep, everyone finds that out some way or another. Sometimes you're like me and you find it out repeatedly. But yeah, Sid actually being able to take advantage of their typing and do some extra damage, but it's not enough. And going to take the reset there. Probably just scum around that chest at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit unfortunate to have to take the wipe to that, but didn't lose too much time doing it.
Yeah, it's better to do it this way, getting the save in there and then losing it there rather than having to go through from the outside again. And this way, oh wow, going to go and try to take the fight on again. So we might actually, if he gets through this fight, we might actually find out what is in this chest, because Zilch just looted around it.
Yeah, and this is one of the ones that normally wouldn't advocate for most runners to do. The curve on it, you're most likely to get a tier 5 item. You do have a 5% chance of a tier 7 item, as I'm looking at the treasure probability curves chart.
Huh, 5% chance. So you're saying there's a chance?
I think there's a chance there's a crystal sword.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, I would do this every time. I also don't understand statistics well.
You're more likely to get an assassin dagger out of it, but you could get a crystal sword.
So I either will get a crystal sword or I won't get a crystal sword, right? So that's like 50-50?
That sounds like 50-50, you're right.
Okay, yeah, okay. So yeah, this is a really good play.
Does get some XP though. Cecil's no longer level 1. Porum's going to get some stuff. Rose is no longer level 10.
I saw Crystal and I was about to start losing it. I was about to start losing it, Antidale.
That would have been something. But that crystal shield is actually going to be really nice for that Mylon Z. Should provide some undead resistance, so Cecil will be able to tank stuff a little bit better.
Yeah, if they do decide to go with the back row cover strat for Cecil, that is going to be a major help there.
Yeah, and it definitely means that you no longer have to worry about using a Moon Veil for it. You just need a few more levels, and you'll be able to do that just free. Okay, nothing super great in that shop. Leviathan summon for Rydia we don't have yet. Look like a Dragoon helmet, which would be kind of nice.
Yeah, but none of the big items you want to hope for, like Sirens, Bacchuses, things like that. So nothing that's going to fundamentally change the approach to this seed.
Yeah, no, you really want to be selling ninja shirts and not buying them.
Yeah, it's Edge's ultimate armor, but the ultimate part, that's debatable.
I mean, if you're going to do low-level Z strats, you might want to throw it on Edge, because that'll give him an awful lot of magic defense.
It's very true. And the King of the Eidolons is dancing around in the Crystal Chamber today. Oh, look at this early tower check from Zilch. You'll love to see it.
I do, and it looks like he's checking some of these trap chests too. Maybe thinking that with that Cecil, he's able to do enough damage to take out the alert in one shot.
Yeah, I think he might be at the area where Cecil's going to be hanging around one shot the alerts, which could mean some extra loot. So yeah, I actually really like this play from Zilch. It's got a little bit of risk to it, absolutely. But Zilch is a fantastic runner. If anybody might be able to pull this off, it's him. And meanwhile, in beernerd's fight here with Leviathan, we can already see that Cecil, the levels he has on him from that Staleman fight, doing some great damage, but those Ice 2s from Leviathan hit awfully hard here, and that's going to be the harder thing to deal with.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate he took off the Dragoon Shield to put on the Crystal Shield, I think, because that Dragoon Shield would have done some better defense. The Crystal Helm is the nice one that gives you elemental resist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Dragoon Shield, very nice to slap on in an elemental heavy fight, as it's going to have all those elemental attacks there. And since this is a spot that normally doesn't use magic, by rule of thumb, it hits hard with magic. Those Ice 2s, one-shotting Sid even. So yeah, want to get those Star Veils up, it looks like. Yeah, I think this is the right call here from beernerd.
Yeah, you want to get the XP out of here. It's a good, I think, 20,000 plus for this fight.
Yeah, especially from when you can access it in the underworld. The Dwarf Castle give a pretty large chunk of XP. So especially on that Cecil, recently made Paladin, that's going to be a pretty huge deal.
And beernerd definitely in a little bit of a scramble situation, needing to get up the HP from all those waves, and Ice 2 is coming in.
And correction from Simba, the reason this spot has a high magic stat is that so Calcabrena can land the charm spells more easily. So yeah, good to know. Oof.
Yeah, Porum doing all the work. She's going to be a very tired child.
Yeah. Thankfully, we're back to the Ice 2 phase. Porum's got a Star Veil up.
Ooh, and that's Golbez here at the top of the tower. The unfortunate thing is Golbez is not doing a lot of magic attacks here in terms of damage, so you're going to have to supplement a lot. The good news is we have an Excel Sissel.
Yes, and Golbez does have a nice weakness to both fire and holy damage, and Cecil is very good at dishing out holy damage with that Excalibur, so this shouldn't be the worst fight. The hardest thing is just going to be recovering from the near party wipe.
Yeah, we're going to lose 2 of these 4 characters. He's going to hope that Cecil's not one of them. If Cecil is one of them, going to just hope be able to kind of make sure Star Veils go up and would be able to get Cecil back up and running. Yeah, beernerd taking a wipe or a reset to that Leviathan. Porum just not able to do quite enough all on her own. And coming back in, hopefully gets Star Veils up a little bit sooner on that Cecil.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen them for sale in any shops, but this would be a fantastic time to throw a Silk Web as well. With Leviathan the way he works, since he has to actually waste a turn transforming between his phases, very, very useful to get a slow to up on him. Gives you way more breathing room to get everything set up. And yeah, looks like Cecil was not hit by the Shadow Dragon. So just a Star Veil set up, and Cecil should be able to take care of this himself.
Yep, survives the Lit 3, gets a Star Veil. This is now pretty much free. It'll take a little bit of time, but it's pretty much free.
Yeah, it'll be a nice cinematic duel, brother versus brother. Spoilers for a 30-year-old Super Nintendo RPG. Yeah, there's the Bacchus, yeah. Zilch can put down the controller and go grab a Coke or something.
Smithy, I think you let that cat out of the bag. We've got some people in chat seeming a little surprised.
Oh, goodness.
I'm not sure how honest they're...
Golbez got all the dominant genes while Cecil got all the recessive genes. But then in a post-credits conversation, Sid reveals that it was actually Cecil who had the dominant genes.
So kind of like the movie Twins, but different?
Yeah, kind of like that. It's more like that movie Multiplicity.
And both these fights look like they're pretty well under control. beernerd has made some good adjustments and is able to keep all the party members up. Cecil's doing some good attacking. Rosa's attacking.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, that spot has a significantly more HP than the spot that beernerd is working with, and Zilch taking out way quicker than beernerd can even get through his fight. That's a Darkness Crystal. That opens up a ton for Zilch here.
Yes, hello open world.
Now, we don't have any specific objectives locked to the moon, but there are a lot of boss checks up there that Mom Bomb could be hiding behind. Of course, there's other key items there that could also lead to some progression as well. So yeah, there are that is options.
Yeah, and as Simbu points out, it's also important on the key item count. That puts Zilch up to 9 key items. If there's a key item here out of that tower key check, that would put him to 10, and then these Dwarf Castle checks that beernerd is doing right now would pay out double for Zilch for experience points.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. I thought he'd only been an 8 because it's that adamant when it's lit up looks the same as when it's turned off, I swear. But yeah, that is 9 actually. So one more and he will be in double experience mode. Hey, we got a Bard this seed.
We do have a Bard this seed. I don't know if we'll see any strats, but it's possible.
I mean, there he is. We were wondering who those last 2 characters are. One of them's a Bard.
Bard taking a very quick nap.
Speaking of Bards, that's a Twin Harp from the Super Cannon.
That is some nice stuff. That's 10 key items. That's another potential boss spot unlocked.
Yeah, that's a lot for Zilch right now. Zilch now basically has his pick of the wants to start looking for things. And thinks twice about Baron, goes over to City instead. He wants that brine shrimp in the air.
Yeah, he's definitely looking to see who's up on that moon, hoping that it's a Fusaya.
Yeah, we know that there's a Fusia in the seed. It's just a matter of where he is. We don't know who the 7th character is. But Fu would definitely be a welcome addition to this party.
We'll soon, once the hand gets to the crystal and takes it away, get to see what kind of wonderful trophy Luca is wearing around her neck tonight.
Yeah, dwarven fashion is always avant-garde. And it turns out that right now, it is hip for young dwarven ladies to wear silent staffs around their neck.
I mean, Rose is pretty happy with that.
Yeah, you don't hate to see it, because you've got Samurai Bow for Rosa when you want her to do damage. You've got a silent staff for when you want her to do white mage things. It's not progression, but it's definitely not unwanted.
Yeah, the second best white mage set stick outside of the life staff. Get a quick check of the Hummingway shop.
Ether 2s are a little bit exciting, especially when you know Fu is out there. If there's any Achilles heel for the old Lunarian, it's his MP pool. But having some Ethers in stock is a good way to counteract that, especially if you're thinking of a D-Machine grind at any point.
Yeah, you might be tempted to pick up one of those Soma drops too to get Fu to an even 200 if and when they're able to actually pick up that Fu.
You're right. I think Zilch might already have a Soma drop. I want to say he picked one earlier up Waterfall Cave, unless it's been sold for cash at this point. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That extra 10 HP on Fu is an enormous boost. And there he is. We've got a Lunar Mop.
Now, I don't think it's quite the right play, but it'd be very interesting to do a D-Machine grind right here. I think that if they do still have the Siren they picked up earlier, and was Zilch the person who picked up New Bells?
I want to say it was beernerd. I saw pick up New Bells. Zilch might have, but I didn't see. I don't see any as inventory as he scrolls through, though.
Yeah, I missed them too. To wear a... Oh, there's some New Bells, it looked like, near the top. To where you might do a quick Warlock grind, because you do have 10 key items at this point.
Yeah, there are definitely options available there. Oh, we're seeing him move spell up. He might be thinking that D-Machine grind.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of time investment, but it's all the levels he would possibly need for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, not to mention it would give you access to checking those 2 bosses there on the Giant. Still haven't seen Mom Bomb anywhere, so, you know, it could be hanging out there.
Looks like we're going to get a quick check of Value Cave while beernerd finds Gold Bez and resets out.
Ooh, that's all sorts of other onomatopoeias. Is he resetting up because he wants to set up his party? Okay, looks like he's setting up party up. Okay, he's not actually fading the fight. Because we know the Darkness Crystal is behind there, and we definitely want to make sure he's got that, because that's just way too much to pass up right now.
Yeah, and one thing that the levels, with the levels that beernerd had picked up doing, that's a blue robe. But the levels that beernerd had picked up doing Dwarf Castle would have allowed him to maybe do the cheeky mute your own party in a fight, and so that you could just come in and not have to worry about the hold spell.
Yeah, very good point. Oh, that is a spicy Fabul gauntlet there.
Yeah, that's a gauntlet and a reset.
No blame there. As soon as the fight comes up, you're like, what is a Ging Re? Oh.
Yeah, this party's not quite at the level where you probably want to take it. And if this was Swiss rounds and you had some hourglasses, you absolutely would do that fight right now.
Right.
But with this party and this flag set at these levels.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when the only real thing what we're looking for is a boss at this point. And we're not so desperate to find the boss that we're just going to start hunting key items to get extra boss checks. There's still so many boss checks on the table that we can make that, yeah, I would absolutely be putting that gauntlet off for later.
Oh, looks like Zilch might be giving us music.
That would be fantastic. I know chat's a fan.
That is an interesting play. Simbu had earlier talked about wanting to do Dwarf Castle for the experience in chat, and I would agree with that play a little bit more than this one. That would give him 2 boss checks that Zilch hasn't seen yet.
And we were just talking about Chocobo appreciation before this started. Zilch grabbing the wrong Chocobo and just shoving it off into the ocean carelessly.
Yeah, the yellow Chocobo being like, no, 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 go somewhere else.
All right, we're taking a look over here on beernerd as he's dealing with the Golbus fight. His Cecil is down. Definitely want to get that Cecil up, get him ready to go because he's going to be your major source of damage here. Sid's getting him up, queuing up some healing with Porum here. And okay, the virus lands on Sid, gets reflected. So should be good to go for Cecil here.
Yeah, a little less friendly immediate RNG, but still should be able to get through this pretty cleanly now.
Yeah. And if you are here on RPG Limit Break and are a little unfamiliar with how we randomize everything around here. That means even the little things, including the music Edward plays to save the rest of the party. So just a moment here as we get through this cutscene, Antidale and I are going to cut our mics off for a little bit, and Edward is going to give us a random song on his harp. So listen in. And some excellent Tetra theme there tonight. Huge shout out to community member Calamity who does all the harp and makes this very beloved Easter egg keep going. So huge shout outs there. That was a board face. I apologize. It was board face who did that one.
Yeah, Boardface has done most of the ones that are still in the game, or that are in the game currently. Calamity has somewhat recently come on to do all of the new ones. And I don't know how many we have actually in the game quite yet from Calamity.
It's a changing of the guard, as it were.
Yeah, but we did get a spoon from that, which unfortunately for the Edward that's in the seed, the spoon flag is not on, so he just gets to gaze longingly at it while Edge throws it away.
Yeah, if you're playing this game casually, by all means, put that spoon flag on if you want to make the absolute glassiest of glass cannons out of Edward. It is a ton of fun, and it is a great way to sort of reimagine the character in Free Enterprise. But in these tournament settings, we do not allow such zaniness, and the spoon only does its intended use, which is to be thrown by Edge for a lot of damage.
Oh, and that's a giant play.
Yep. I really, really like this. This is going to give his party a huge infusion of power. It's going to get both his Porum and his Rosa to the point where they can cast white and contribute heavily to the magic damage of the party. It's going to make the Cecil do an enormous amount of damage. Everything else in the seat is going to be able to be rolled over. Plus, that's 2 extra boss checks in here. And if Mom Bomb is hanging around here in the Giant, then that is a tremendous advantage for Zilch.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's a bit of a gamble on that Mom Bomb is here and not anywhere else that he has access to. Because the Dwarf Castle play would get him a bunch of XP that you could then go turn in and go fight that Mylon at the Asura spot, and then go turn around and do the hook and kind of work actually on your objectives before doing this. But this could be huge if it's the right call, or if it lets him, or if my bomb's in somewhere rude. That really lets you kind of catapult through some of the moon bosses that you might have to get through in order to fight Mom Bomb.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of you come for the XP, you stay for the potential Mom, essentially.
Yeah, and luckily for Zilch, this won't take too many D machines. Looks like it's going to check the boss here too right away.
Yeah,
which
always
is a good
idea. Ooh, he might just stick around and fight this.
Yeah, he might still have his coffin. This would be super spicy.
Yeah, this might change a few things here. That's the coffin. There goes the officer. Without the officer around, the soldiers do not know what to do. He's life 2ing it.
Oh, that's super spicy. That's amazing.
Zilch
life
is
2
all
into
in on
life.
this.
Yeah, life 2 into life, not going to do quite as much good, I don't think. But super great.
So that soldier's going to come back with full HP. So now Fu is going to have to queue up another death spell to get that soldier dead.
Yeah, we might see Fu do a weak.
No,
it's going to do a fatal.
It looks like, yeah. So the distribution of experience in this fight heavily favors the officer. He gives a significantly larger portion of XP in this fight than the rest do. So now that he's essentially killed the officer twice, all of that XP that the officer would normally have is getting doubled for this fight, essentially. And this fight has an enormous amount of experience baseline. It's getting doubled by his 10 key items. He's getting double the experience from the officer. Who needs a D machine grind at this point?
Oh, yeah, nobody needs a D machine grind at this point. So it looks like the officer is worth 46,591 XP per kill.
Wow. And that's before the 10 key items doubling, correct?
Exactly, that's the base.
Yeah, wow.
The soldiers are worth about 18,000 a shot too, so they're not too shabby here either.
Yeah, and this fight is also now completely safe with the officer dead, we should mention. The soldiers will only attack themselves without the officer in play. So, yeah, this is just cleaning up at this point.
And it looks like Beernerd is also doing the giant play, but Beernerd only has 9 key items if I'm counting correctly.
Yes, it is only 9. We'll see if he makes the check first as well, and decides to just use that for his experience. Not going to get the same kind of value that Zilch does. Still going to be a massive boost in power for him.
It looks like Fu trying to land a stone just to kind of knock all the soldiers out altogether to make this fight go a little bit faster.
Yeah, when stone works, it feels great, and then sometimes you run into these dry patches where it seem to hit.
Yeah, definitely you're helped out with stone being in the middle a little bit. Getting that nice accuracy boost for being in the middle slot.
Yeah, never look up the actual hit rates of these instant death spells unless you want to be very, very disappointed.
That's a cool 390,000 experience points.
Very, very nice. Oh, there's Cure 4. That is the big benchmark for any white mage.
Yeah, was that Cure 4 on both?
I believe only one of them hit Cure 4. I only saw Cure 3 on the first. I could be mistaken, though.
Yeah, and at this point, I would definitely take a quick save, maybe use a cabin, and then go after that CPU fight and get another
Yeah.
300,000 XP.
Absolutely, no reason not to, and then maybe just even just go at that point. Just start doing your checks. You've got all of the strength of your party that you need. You're going to get any other ancillary levels you might need before the Zeromus fight. Just as a matter of clearing bosses at this point, you're just if you're Zilch, you just put the pedal to the floor, and the only speed you need is fast.
Yeah, it looks like beernerd is looking for the Demon Machine fight. I'm not sure if he's not using the normal walking path that the grind fight minute chart that we have linked in the Discord kind of shows for you. So he might just be walking around until he finds a Searcher Beamer combo.
Yeah, this is a little unfortunate that he's not checking that bridge fight first. Okay, the path that he took, okay, it looks like now he is following the chart. So he knows exactly what step he is on right now. Whenever he gets into encounter, he can use the step that he's on to determine whether the encounter he has is the right one or how many fights he is away from the right one. And looks like he's taking a reset there to get back on count. Yeah, taking another reset to get the step count right.
Yeah, this Odin fight's a little bit gross. Because CPU doesn't actually attack you with physical or magic attacks, this has a pretty high bit of both. As you can see, Porum taking 2,000 hit points of damage off of one punch. Luckily, there's not that much HP here.
Right, and yeah, as if to demonstrate Odin is down. But yeah, hitting really nastily there, but everybody back up. Benefit from the experience from this spot. And yep, there's Cure 4 on both white mages now.
Yep, Rosa tantalizingly close to white as well.
Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of time now before the fight's really going to do. And let's see who was waiting for us in the giant. It's just another Porum.
Thanks, Porum. You're already on the team.
Yeah, and beernerd having a lot of trouble getting that D Machine fight, and it's really unfortunate just the timing of coming to the D Machine grind now. You know, not having that 10th key item, not making that check and seeing that the next fight is free and abusable. This is just a really unlucky turn here for beernerd.
Yeah, and Zilch looks like he's immediately landing the whale, gonna get in that hovercraft and go do the hook route. Some good routing decision right here.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got all the strength you need. You've got you've hit every benchmark you could possibly need to get through any of these fights. Just go start doing all the objectives you know you need to do. There's always a chance you run into Mom Bomb along the way. That clears that out, and then you're in go mode without even having to lift an extra finger.
Yeah, there's been a couple times this seed where Zilch has used information checks to kind of help guide his next path, where he checked the person in Kaipo bed a little earlier, and he left the hook and got the rat tail to get information about what is just possibly there a little bit sooner, as well as you said, going to look at that elements fight. Information is really important in routing free enterprise correctly.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's definitely been on display here tonight's fight. Like you said, Zilch just been doing that little extra bit of scouting that's managed to get him a key item ahead and a just a little bit of extra information on where bosses are, and that's really been the difference here. Every second that beernerd is in this D Machine grind fight, he is getting further and further behind Zilch. So yeah, and that's just a matter of taking that extra time to get that the key item advantage, getting to those benchmarks he needs to hit. It's been going very well for him tonight.
Yeah, the one thing that will help beernerd a little bit out of this is he probably stays in this fight long enough because white mage is white as well, so they're going to help out on offense. But unfortunately for him, being only at 9 key items, it's going to take longer than he would really want.
Yeah, especially in a grind like this, it really can't be understated how much of a difference that key item makes. Just an evil wall here in the King Queen emblem spot, so no Mom Bomb yet, but we still have a lot of bosses here to check, and the path ahead is pretty clear here for Zilch.
Yeah, and Fu still doesn't have nuke, but this evil wall is not going to be too evil with a level 40-something Excalibur-wielding Paladin Cecil.
Yeah, and a lot of people sort of boil down Fusoya's strength to his easy access to the nuke spell. But Fusoya has already paid for himself several times over, and he hasn't even gotten that nuke spell. Just it's that absurd spell list and just enormous amount of utility and just how many doors having Fusoya in your party with a large degree of his spells intact can open for you. That really is the true story of why he's such an amazing character.
Yeah, and there is Nuke and Meteor on that Fusoya.
And there's Wyvern. I didn't see it. It was an attempted run bar. I don't know if the can't run actually popped up, but yeah, Cecil does get a Star Veil off. He's going to survive this fight, so that's not going to be any waste of time. So that is big for Zilch. Now I just got to get some party members up. Once that initial Mega Nuke is off, you're kind of in the clear. Wyvern can only kill one character per turn from that point, but he is pretty fast here. He might be stuck in a perpetual cycle of lifing people.
Yeah, it'll really depend on how much magic power there is here. Cecil's able to at least weather one, so we'll definitely be able to get some stuff up here.
Yeah,
everyone else is going to die instantly.
Yeah, anybody who comes up at this point is going to die. Cecil is going to be surviving, and yeah, very wisely throwing a Cure 3 on Cecil, so if he gets targeted by another nuke, he can just weather the storm at this point. Rosa now getting Cure 4 on her. She might be able to weather a nuke as well. I think we're going to get tested here.
Yeah, she gets a little bit more magic. Yep, is able to weather it. It's close, okay, though.
So he's making progress. It's just going to be a matter of very slowly chipping away at getting his party back up, and then he can finally start dealing some damage to Wyvern. But looks like he is going to be able to save a reset here.
Yeah, now having two people with full power, full health, should be able to get Cecil starting to attack and chip away at the approximately 25,000 HP here in this spot.
Yep, up comes Porum, and there goes Cecil starting the attack. Here comes the nuke from Fusoya. Okay, going on Cecil. Hopefully that Star Veil is still not. Should be at this point. I don't think enough time has passed that it should drop. But yeah, that's going to make quick work of Wyvern, Nuke, and Cecil in tandem here.
And while we've been watching Zilch kind of scramble to get back on his feet after the opening Mega Nuke, it's going a little bit sideways in this D-Machine fight for beernerd, which is really unfortunate. We saw a little bit of a missed target of a weak onto the Searcher, which I think caused him to throw a Cure 3. And I think was probably a little bit too fast with an attack, which caused a counterattack from the Dragon that hit Fusoya, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that is kind of one of the drawbacks of the D-Machine, right? Because it is a very delicate ballet that you're doing. Those D-Machines, don't underestimate them. They are very scary opponents. They've got... they can hit very hard physically, and they have that really nasty, all-targeting HP-based flame attack. So yeah, if you're not very, very careful, just like you said, it can go sideways very quickly, and unfortunately, beernerd's taking a reset there. That's going to put him even further behind.
Yeah, that really, really hurts.
And down goes Wyvern. That's going to be objective number 1 complete for Zilch. The Falcon is launched. Just needs to beat that Mylon Z fight and the Fey March and find wherever Mom Bong is hanging out.
Yeah, so for Zilch, do you think that you go, once you defeat that Mylon Z, do you go check the 2 spots in Baron real fast, or you go to the moon and just start face-checking all those bosses instead?
I would probably do the moon in the hopes that Mom Bomb is there, because if that's the case, then you've got the crystal right there and you can just walk to Zeromus. We've got the pass, but I believe, like, especially if it's in that lower part of the subtrain, it might actually be quicker to just walk to Zeromus from there. So I would maybe take that approach.
Yeah, you do have a little more density of checks there in terms of bosses, because there's only 2 new bosses available to us in Baron, where there's the 5 available to us in the Lunar Subterranean.
Yeah, one of the advantages to Baron is really the extra character there, which is why it's nice to get done early, especially if you're looking for fresh recruits for your party. But that is not the case at this point. This party is pretty set in stone. It can easily handle Zeromus at this point. So yeah, I'd maybe be leaning more towards the density of boss checks on the moon, and yeah, like you said, just face check them, see if Mom Bomb's there, and just run away with the seed at that point.
And beernerd is going with a little bit of a different party order than he did the first time, moving Fusia out of the middle, so Fu doesn't have the ability to get the free accuracy boost on the weak. Tell is the one who really, really needs it, but I've still seen Fu miss when he's not in the middle. And it's definitely a little bit painful when your weak spell missed.
Yeah, it always hurts, especially if you've already got actions queued up under the assumption that you're hit with that weak. That can really mess things up. But yeah, it's less of a concern with Fusoya than it was with Tella, but yeah, you always got that missed chance in the back of your head, and you've always got to be able to react quickly and decisively if something does go pear-shaped, so you can get things back and stabilized.
Yeah, Mr. Bus Driver asking, wouldn't it be better to finish the Earth and then go to the moon, or finish the Earth and then to the moon, rather than do a possible moon and back? That's one of the gambles. Baron is kind of a long check with all the cutscenes and the walking, and you have more bosses available. You have more chances to be right on the moon, even though that is also a little bit long. But it's definitely a gamble that Zilch is going to have to weigh, and will be interesting to ask him when we're able to get him in for an interview at the end of the race, however it turns out.
Yeah, there's a lot of schools of thought when it comes to completion, and there's definitely a powerful school of thought that says get everything done terrestrial, then head to the moon. Make sure you've got all your hens in a row. But in a situation like this, yeah, there's just such an enormous density there. There's only one thing hanging, over on your shoulder here that you need to complete, and it's just finding a boss. You can just walk in, face check them. It makes the moon a very, very tempting play, even if you've got business left over on the blue planet.
It looks like beernerd got a nice double life potion glitch off, so that was counted for 3 D machines on that one, so that's pretty nice.
Yep, and he's going to call it a day there. 350,000 experience, so about as much as Zilch got for his bridge fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot longer in time.
Oh, yes. Yeah, paid for it in time, but now there's an Earth Crystal. That's 2 more boss checks that are on the table.
That makes a full Earth clear a little bit more tempting. Mm-hmm. It's again a long check though.
Yeah, it does. It'd be one that you'd be able to roll through very easy point in with how strong his party is. But yeah, now that's kind of throwing a curveball in it. Like, is that moon as attractive as we think it is? Looks like Zilch is going to want to check through Dwarf here before going anywhere. We'll pick up a silent staff and not much else for his troubles, but
yeah, one nice thing here. Yeah, he will get through this fight much faster than beernerd did with all those extra levels, and sees the Leviathan resets out. This might mean we're going to get an Earth Crystal check, because Earth Crystal would then give you knowledge of who is in that vanilla Golbez spot.
And it looks like it is an Earth play here. So yeah, very, very strong game knowledge there. That might be the real Galaxy play of the seed right there. Not something many people would think to do, but yeah, Zilch knows that cutscene. He's gonna get to check that Golbez spot and see if Dwarf is worth it.
Yeah, very minimal investment in Dwarf Castle, because those cutscenes also exist and are a little bit annoying to sit through.
Yeah, that they are. Yeah, no treasury check from Zilch. Zilch is very confident in the equipment he has for his team right now.
Yeah, since Cecil's the only one who really cares about equipment, and Crystal Sword isn't guaranteed out of that treasury, a pretty reasonable check.
Yeah, but do keep in mind, on the T Pro flag that we have, the Troya Vault is ranked very high. So if you are hurting for loot, always a good place to check when you find that Earth Crystal.
Yeah, it is the only treasure chests that don't have trap chests in the same mix that can give you a chance of a tier 7 item in T Pro. You have a 1% chance out of each chest of getting a tier 7 item when Crystal Sword is in that tier. that treasure pool.
So basically what that means, everybody, the Troy of Odds, you will all sword. If you don't, make sure to text Antidale, complain to him.
My number is 867-5309.
Bahamut down very quickly, and we'll be getting a look at the Favala spot here. We might get a peek at who our 7th character is. It's Palom.
Oh, that poor quack kid, not going to join the team.
Unfortunately, yeah, this late in the game, Palom's usefulness not so much as if you were to get him much earlier, but at least we know who the whole roster was this time. And beernerd is out of the Odin fight, does not want to do it, and is going to leave the giant.
Yeah, I don't really blame him. The 150,000 XP that you'd get out of there, that he would get, is not nearly as enticing as the 300 that Zilch got.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done his grind. He's got his level. Any extra levels he might need will come from the rest of the bosses he has to do. So yeah, let's just get out of this giant and get back to actually clearing objectives here. So yeah, absolutely the right call here from beernerd.
We have our other Mylon, while Rosa prepares to become the 4th person in the party who learns Exit.
It's a little embarrassing when your husband learns it before you and you're supposed to be the white mage.
Yeah, she's got to catch up, but she's making him nice and angry. Some nice Cure 4 action out of Porum, getting rid of all those zombies, while Fu is able to just nuke Mylon down. We probably get a body off of it.
Yeah, good action economy there to get the fight done as quickly as possible. Because yeah, Zilch is just in tear through the seed mode right now. Doesn't want to waste any time. Want to do everything as efficiently as possible. Because the second he finds that mom bomb, he is going to go right to Zeromus.
And after doing this check, Zilch knows that Dwarf Castle is not required.
So it's like 2 checks for the price of 1.
Yeah, the only thing that could be lingering in his mind, if that is a Luca key or a package that could have been gotten out of Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, but that's all that would get was 1 extra boss check, and the chances are relatively remote that I wouldn't, if I were in Zilch's position, I wouldn't be too worried about it. I'd be like, okay, that's enough for the Earth. Let's go to the moon. Let's see what's there. We'll face check bosses. If I don't find it, then we'll finish the bosses. See if they get any key items that get any other bosses, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, and Beowulf in chat asking if Zilch has done Baron. No, neither runner has. The Baron key came pretty early off of the Rat Tail turn-in. But I'm guessing that Zilch probably assumes that if it was Baron, the seed would be over already. So he's just going to fade it.
Yeah, we know that Baigen is a lunar boss, so there's only 1 boss. Well, excuse me, 2 boss checks because we get Odin as well. But yeah, it's been a little bit surprising that neither runner has taken the bait of that Baron key. But they've just been presented with so many options at this point that Baron has just kind of been on the back burner.
Yeah, it was easy enough to do early, especially with getting a Fusaya from the Darkness Crystal that wasn't terribly hard to get. The Golbez was pretty free given our Excalibur wielding Cecil.
And yeah, Beer has not turned in his Rat Tail, and right now that's been the deciding factor in the seed, because that prevented him from getting to his 10th key item. It made his grind significantly slower than Zilch's, because Zilch was able to skip the D-Machine grind altogether, just get the XP from the Kaipo guards fight at the bridge. Oof, that's an oak noodle, and Zilch, true to its name, does not want anything to do with it.
Yeah, put a pin in that spot, come back if absolutely required.
Yeah, I do like the top-down approach here. since we are just looking for bosses, we're not terribly interested in key items at this part. So yeah, I like Zilch's approach here. Go back in. We'll check Wyvern. We got a save point there where we can scum out of it, and then head right over to the rest of the subterranean.
Yeah, I'm a little less certain about whether I would check Crystal Sword Altar next, just because of the extra walking and how many more bosses are available to you if you go all the way down to the 7th floor. But if you are maybe feeling a little bit behind, or if you feel like they would just give you an advantage in general to check them in pure tap-down order, because that Crystal Sword Altar is awkward to get to. It could be just another interesting routing choice that our runners have available to them.
Yeah, that is actually a very good point. Doing the D-Lunar, doing Pale Dim Spot, and then immediately hitting the bulk 3 boss checks in the core of the subterranean might be a little bit more efficient. And then if and when you need to go do Crystal Sword Altar, that's also there. So yeah, I agree, that might be the better way to approach this.
There's just so much interesting risk and reward possibilities, and depending on where you feel you are in a seed.
Yeah, and if I'm Zilch right now, I can't be feeling like I'm too terribly behind. If I'm Zilch, the only reason I might feel behind is if Mom Bomb was at Baron. That's going to be the only thing that's really plaguing the back of my mind right now. But of course, we know that neither runner checked Baron, so he's actually safe there. So I can't imagine Zilch feels terribly behind. Oh, there it is. That is go mode for Zilch.
Yeah, this spot gonna hit real hard, but doesn't have very much HP either. So Excalibur Cecil being angry and zerked will probably do most of the work. Fu's gonna toss a couple of nukes. Forum probably takes a nap.
Yeah, I don't see terribly much incentive to actually get Forum up here. A little bit redundant when you've already got Rosa. I mean, a little, nice to put some white here and there in the Z fight, but not terribly imperative that Forum is in tip-top condition for the final fight.
Yeah, and as Scala notes in chat, she did call Moonbomb quite a while ago.
That is true. Let it be known. Moonbomb was called, and Scala was the one who called it.
She put on her prognosticator hat along with her Black Mage's hat and just got it exactly right.
Well, I mean, that's the nice thing about the Black Mage hat is it's pointing out that you can put other hats on.
Exactly. Hats upon hats.
Yeah.
Yo, dog, I heard you like hats.
That's a crystal for Zilch. So do you go through the core here, or do you exit out and go?
It's one of those, I think it's really close on timing on this. That's an Odin summon that we don't care about at all. I think it depends on how confident I am that I don't have to refight it. I feel pretty sure that Zilch is confident enough that he won't have to refight it, that he's just going to do exactly this, save and walk down.
Yeah, this is about as stacked a party as you can hope for in a C7 seed like this. You've got Excalibur Cecil, you've got 2 white mages, you've got Fusoya with Nuke, you've got the perfect anchor in Sid, you've got a cursed ring for Sid. Things are looking really, really good. So yeah, I don't think Zilch anticipates having to do a refight here. So yeah, going right through the core.
Yeah, I think we even still have a Bacchus wine in the inventory, so Cecil might be able to self-zerk, which would mean that Fu could maybe throw on either Fu or maybe move Porum down to the bottom slot to kind of rearrange the party, throw a Star Veil on, and then just start throwing out the magics. Maybe someone has to throw a slow to nerf the first Big Bang. We probably don't see a second.
I think Zilch used the Bacchus wine against Golbez. I could be wrong.
Oh, that's right. He absolutely did.
But even still, there's 2 white mages in the party. Keeping him zerked up is a problem.
Yeah, and beernerd doing a very good job, just like Zilch did, of recovering from only getting one wall off against the Mega Nuke and able to get the party back up and going.
So let me ask you, Zilch, do you like questions?
I do like questions.
What's your favorite question?
What is an airspeed velocity on a lead and swallow?
What's your second favorite question?
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
So again, we randomize everything here. One of the things is the sprite that shows up for Zeromus. We change nothing about his AI script, as he is the perfect final boss. We can't improve upon perfection, but what we can do is make something a little fun for our runners to look at. And the true form of Zeromus tonight is... Oh my! The true final boss.
He is angry that you did not take him.
Now this is after years Edward, where he's busted beyond belief.
Fortunately, I don't think he's going to hide in this fight, so he's just going to do some big bangs and make our party just punch him in the face real hard.
Now we don't have any of the silk webs to get the slow on him, so just using the crystal instead to trigger the counter nuke. That is going to nerf Zeromus' magic attack until after this big bang when he gets a chance to reset it. It's going to give most of the party a better chance to survive the initial big bang and just sort of let him get set up, start dealing damage here as he would need to do.
Yeah, one of the fun pieces.
This is, I think this is the first Zeromus sprite I've seen that doesn't end in mus and instead has the other. It's 0 word instead of Ed Mus.
Well, Edward does break all the rules, and I think this is the only one, and Scala confirming in chat that this is the only one that does not end in a -US.
Well, there you are. We're having a historic moment here tonight, folks.
Of course, one of the glorious things about Scala being the restreamer is that she's guaranteed to be here in chat, able to tell us all about the Z sprites. So she is the creator of most of the 400, about 450-ish of them. Borefaces was the initial creator of some, and then Scala had taken over the duties of that.
Yeah, we should probably also add that the grand prize for the Fabul Gauntlet is getting your own Z sprite made and put into free enterprise rotation. So that is actually what our runners are fighting here for tonight, is the glory of getting their own Z sprite.
Yeah, and I believe we've seen both Dusty and Paranoia's sprites. Dusty getting his sprite in from the winner, being the winner of the World Series of Free Enterprise, and Paranoia getting his sprite in from being the winner of the Hopen. I'm not sure if we've seen Penguinator yet and his sprite in this tournament. Chogram in chat asking how many Z sprites there are, and Scholar responding about 405 or 450. That's what I thought.
Soon there's going to be more Z sprites than Pokemon.
Are we going to get Final FFE or Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Sword and Shield?
That's after we sell out.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
Man, that's Cecil doing some righteous damage to my Lunzi. 6,000-7,000 to swing.
Yeah, that is really the huge benefit. We mentioned earlier about how exciting it is to get a Cecil in your seed, and with the increased likelihood of getting some of that late game hardware, and you're really seeing why here. I mentioned earlier the power couple Rosa and Cecil can finish a Z fight on their own, and there really isn't much exaggeration to that. Just Cecil doing the damage and Rosa supporting Cecil is all you need. Anything else on top of that is just a bonus.
Yeah, Rosa being the white mage who gets the best HP growth pool. Cecil having a plenty good HP growth pool too. Rosa can just keep everyone alive through Tier 4.
Yeah, and both characters having pretty strong willpowers as well, being able to resist all of that magic there, especially with Cecil being able to equip high-level paladin shields with high will in there, and Rosa just getting it naturally as a white mage. We've got Fallen Rocks. That means this seed is quickly approaching its end. Everyone's on low HP. We're going to have a dramatic finish here.
Yeah, Zilch gave us falling blocks earlier in the form of songs, and now we have falling rocks.
There gets the Tier 4. That's going to make things a little safe. 1 or 2 more hits from Cecil should be the death of 0 word here. There's the big bang boom. Zilch has won and is moving on to round 3 of the Fabul Gauntlet with an official time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, 29 seconds. GG to Zilch.
Yeah, a wonderful run from Zilch. That is some great play throughout the entire seed. He moves on into the round of 8.
Yeah, that was textbook free enterprise tonight. Really can't point to anything Zilch did that was exclusively wrong tonight. Really executed well on all his fights. A 90-minute finish on this incredibly difficult flag set is just an absolute feat there. Really can't understate how well he played this evening and really earned that win.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely seen times trend a little bit northward in this particular flag set, since you're less able to get the exact party you want and less able to get good items early. Usually take a little bit more time getting off the ground, and we're going to see if we can get zilch in for an interview. And we are joined by Zilch. GG, Zilch.
Thank you.
So we often talk about Sheila having the goods, but how about Sheila having the goods tonight?
That was great. You see the adamant, it's like, all right, maybe we'll get the legend sword soon. We got the Cecil. What can go wrong? And then you turn in the pan, and right there, it's like, wow. The only thing missing from that was some good items in Pokebal's shop. Like a Bacchus line would have been great, but
yeah,
Sheila came through big time.
We were crossing our fingers, and the ninja shirt was. Still can't complain about that.
Yeah, no complaints there.
So yeah, why don't you take us through a little bit of your routing? When did you sort of decide in your head that you wanted to commit hard to the moon and sort of ignore the rest of the checks you had left on the earth?
I mean, I think the only thing I really ignored was Baron, and I already knew one of the bosses was a moon boss. I don't think I ignored anything else boss-wise. But basically, once I don't know why I decided to go with the giant, but I didn't really need to demachine at that point or to get that much experience when I got the Fu. But I guess I figured maybe I should and then just sweep through the moon at that point. Saw the bosses there and figured I'd get more than enough experience just killing the giant bosses. So forget about demachine, just do that. Didn't see Mom Bomb there, obviously, so that was... At that point, I felt like I might be a little behind. So then I was just in a pure, do the objectives I had that I knew about, and then just YOLO at all the bosses I could to just see what's where. And I figured it'd be quicker to just go look through the moon bosses than doing Baron, or at least you get more bosses per minute, maybe.
Yeah, to keep that BPM up.
Pretty much. With these flags. I mean, at that point, I was gambling it wasn't going to be behind Package or Luca. Those might have been the only two.
Yeah, I believe those are the only two key items that I bought.
Yeah, and Baron, but yeah.
So yeah, that was. It's interesting you bring up that ended up sort of the pivotal difference between you and beernerd1. You were kind of neck and neck going in, and you both sort of decided to go to the giant at around the same time. The difference being beernerd had not turned the rat tail in, and you had. So beernerd was sitting at 9 key items, went through an entire D-machine grind, and that was basically where you made up all of your time there. So you just skipped the D-machine grind, grabbed the XP from the bridge, and went on while he was just stuck there doing it.
Yeah, 10 key items, it's like that's going to give me a whole ton of experience, and especially if you can kill the boss after it. Yeah, that just seemed like not bothering with, especially with that team. I mean, you have a Excal, Cecil, and a Fu, who I don't think had nuke at the time, but still a Fu.
Yeah, I think you got nuke from the evil wall at the King Queen Upland spot.
It sounds about right. Yeah, because I had nuke for Wyvern. Which was
talk to us about that Wyvern fight.
It was one of those where it's like, is it worth restarting the fight with battle speed lower, even though I didn't save between the fights? Or is it faster to just recover? So I figured I would try to recover, give it like a few life pots. If it wasn't going to end well, then I would just restart. Once I saw that nukes were only doing like 300 damage to Fu, I felt a lot more confident about recovering. Because I figured if I can just cure him up, then he could live through like three straight nukes, and that could get me at least 4 characters up. And then after that, I mean, with Cecil's damage, I kind of wanted Cecil to die so I can revive him so I could berserk him, but he didn't comply. He lived through it, so.
Silly Paladin having to go and But yeah, that was a very textbook recovery. Really strong play there, pulling through that. Just kind of strong play all throughout this seed. Really there weren't any stumbling blocks there. Was there any particular moment that really like stands out in your mind as like a panic moment for the seed?
But definitely Galvez. I knew I didn't have the curse ring on, and I knew that wall was going to expire any minute, and I didn't know if he'd make it through. Every time I see Lit 3 or Fire 3 or Virus, I'm like, oh wall's still there, okay. Wall's still there, okay. It's just like an endless cycle of that.
Yeah, that was a decent bit of time investment too, to maybe have fizzle. Although you had done that fight a little bit faster than Beernerd had gotten through the initial fight in Dwarf Castle, since he had the two of you had done those checks almost simultaneously, and you were done with that Golbez fight before Beernerd got out of the Leviathan fight.
I mean, I never did the Dwarf Castle fights. I just looked at the bosses.
I wanted to mention that like Galaxy Brain routing there, face checking the first boss, resetting out, and then checking the second boss through Tower of Zot is some really heads up game knowledge there.
As long as the item isn't important, it's all good.
It was a silent staff for what it's worth.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think Rosa was using Samurai Bow at Z-Fight, so yeah.
Strength helps out.
That's fair. Yeah, I wasn't really worried about the Z-Fight with whatever 3,600 health Cecil with Excal. So
yeah, and Rosa was at about 2,400, and Fu was I think almost over 2,000. Also, you were fine, I'm pretty sure.
That's without any real grind, so to speak.
Yeah, very smart use of the Life 2 and on the Kaipo Guards fight to just get as much XP out of that officer as you could. There was some really heads-up play there.
I'm not sure if my life pot actually worked or not, but the Life 2 definitely did.
Yeah,
well, this is going to be it for the round of 16 for you. Moving on to the round of 8, we're done with the one and dones. You're going to have the the best of matches coming up. Is that going to sort of adjust or change the way you approach these seeds?
I think I'll play similarly to the way I've been playing. It's just nice, safe. Well, I guess if you go down 0-1, you might be more inclined to gamble on the second match. Not really sure. Kind of play it by ear. Like this seed, I didn't think I would just skip everything and just go boss checking, but I ended up doing that. I'm like, all right, let's commit to this. So, spur of the moment, you make a bad decision, just got to commit to it. So there might be some of that.
Yeah, it looks like you'll be playing the winner of Flurry 14 against Dark Kobold, who have their race tomorrow evening. Do you have a favorite of that you'd like to play? Whether you think one is easier or just one style that you prefer to play against, or just one that you find more interesting?
I mean, I played both of them in Swiss, and I lost to both of them, so that's always fun. So, out of those two, I play a lot with Flurry with all the asyncs and live races. I think we're about 50-50 on our win rates, somewhere around there. So I think that'd be an exciting match. But if it ends up with Dark Kobold, we're actually thinking most of the recent asyncs were also similar. So I think either one would be a great matchup.
You've already slain one giant in this tournament, so keep the streak going.
I'm gonna try.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Zilch. Congratulations again on your victory tonight, advancing to the round of 8, and just GG, well raced tonight, on all fronts.
Thank you, and always thanks again, restreaming, commentating, tracking. Really appreciate it. Putting on a great tournament.
As have you.
Thank you.
And that was Zilch, our winner tonight. And as we were doing with him, Beernerd has found Mom Bomb. So Beernerd is going to be in Goma and should be hot on Zilch's heels and finishing this seed. Big props to Beernerd for playing this out to completion, getting through the seed, even though he's just basically fighting for honor at this point. But still, it's fantastic that he's keeping it going and giving us all a good show.
Yeah, absolutely. And Beernerd had, I think, only had like 1 or 2 community races on the Discord before the tournament. And so getting into the round of 16 is a great accomplishment. And he definitely will be looking forward to great things from him in future community races as well as future tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. It really, we can't talk enough about how stacked this tournament is. Just taking a look at the list of some of the big names that didn't get into the bracket round is enough to sort of prove the talent of everybody who did. So the fact that Zilch is here, the fact that beernerd is here, the fact that beernerd knocked out such a legendary player in Dusty Griff, getting to the round of 16 is an enormous accomplishment. So, even though this is going to be the end of the tournament for beernerd, absolutely nothing to be ashamed of the play so far. Put on one heck of a tournament run.
Yeah, as we go deeper and deeper, I think most of this round of 16 was pretty much coin flips. I know my personal ranking wouldn't have put I don't think any of them above much above a 60-40 in any runner's favor. The next round's going to be even closer.
Yeah, the bracketology odds on there is something like a 3-2 in favor of Zilch. So yeah, everything's very, very close from this point forward.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that favorite that Zilch would have had in the bracketology just from name recognition.
Exactly. Yeah, as we said, beernerd, one of the newer racers, but already proving just how much enormous amount of talent and commitment he's got to this game.
And then Mom Bomb is down. beernerd has the crystal. We'll probably see possibly a save and then a walk down to Zeromus.
Yeah, and again, with a very similar team setup to Zilch and a very similar level-wise, I don't anticipate there's going to be much difficulty with the Z fight. Neither does beernerd, because beernerd is just going right into the core without a save. I love it. That is some confidence right there.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have to lose, too? Like, just go for it.
Absolutely.
We're going to be here watching and cheering on no matter what happens here.
Yeah, and speaking of cheering them on, make sure you give both of our follow here tonight. They're both incredible players at this game. Absolutely deserve your support and viewership. They are incredibly entertaining to watch. You can check out their links there. And also make sure you give our restreamer, Scala Kitty, and our tracker, Twisted Flex, some love, as well, as they have been doing a fantastic job behind the scenes, making sure the race runs smoothly.
And also, if you're not following RPG Limit Break, the channel that is letting us host a lot of our runs here, please do so. They've been a great partner for us through this entire tournament and through previous of our runs as well.
And it's just a great channel. They put on so much great stuff here. We're going to get our second look at Zero Word here, who I believe Scala Kitty said is based on the Brave Exvius art. Always neat that a lot of characters got some cool sprite work remakes, sprite work updates with Brave Exvius. It's always been my favorite part of that game's existence. Yeah, take me down to the Scala City, where the seeds aren't clean and the Z sprites are pretty.
Top marks for that.
Thank you. Immediate nuke on Porum, taking her out of the fight. Probably not going to spend too much energy bringing her back. She's not really an essential part of the team at this point.
No, at 1364 HP, she was along for the ride. And now she's along for the nap. But that was kind of a fast Big Bang, getting that happening even before the Berserk goes on Cecil.
Yeah, always a little bit concerning. Actually, I don't know if Sid already had the Cursed Ring on or if he put it on there. I don't remember him going into the inventory after the Mom Bomb fight, but Sid could have just had the Cursed Ring on before that.
But Cecil swinging for 42 to 4,500 points of damage a shot, not probably going to be too concerning. Although slacking off with that less than 3,000.
Come on, Cecil.
Doesn't he know the fate of the world's at stake?
Oof, that was a very high roll on that Big Bang. Rose is going to eat dirt at this point, and that's someone you definitely want to.
Yeah, and that slow coming out a little bit too soon after the Big Bang. Sid's down.
Uh-oh. And yeah, just one high roll Big Bang can really, throw a wrench in the works. That black hole might be a little bit of a blessing because that means you can use Cecil's turn now to start fixing this mess. Who, of course, can pinch hit for your downed white mage. So the next Big Bang shouldn't be too much of a problem now with Cecil back at full HP. He'll at least survive. It's just going to be a matter of making sure you get Rosa back up, get Rosa fully cured so that she can tank the next Big Bang.
Yeah, and a good choice using the Cure 3 on Rosa, saving a lot of Fu's MP since he is a little bit limited at this point.
Yeah, very heads-up play there. One of those small optimizations that can really make a difference. Like we said, the biggest Achilles heel for Fu is that low MP pool. And if you're just spamming Cure 4s on Fu, don't be surprised to have him out of HP in a heartbeat. Wow, that was a huge Big Bang. 2 in a row. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that third one there, ooh, and there's a direct virus not spread around the party. Good night, Cecil. We'll see if we get a replay.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden that decision not to save after Mom Bomb. And yeah, looks like beernerd's going to throw in the towel. Don't blame him one bit. He put on a heck of a show. Basically got to the end of the seed. Just got unlucky on the rolls there. Let's give it up in chat for beernerd for being a fantastic competitor.
Yeah, we'll see if beernerd is wanting to come in for an interview. I think I see him in general, and we'll pull him in. Welcome in, beernerd. GG's.
Hey, GG's. Thank you.
Oof, those Big Bang rolls, man.
Yeah, I figured I'd give it one try. I guess I could have set my party better to have a better shot at Zeromus, but it was a really cool run, really fun.
Yeah, your play here was very, very great. Basically, the big difference was that 10th key item that Zilch was able to snag up, because you were essentially going into the giant to grind at about the same time. Zilch had the 10th key item in the form of the Baron key, where you didn't, so he just earned a bunch of time there from that. What was sort of your thought? Was there ever a thought of maybe trying to hunt for a 10th key item before going for that D machine grind, or what were you kind of thinking at that point?
I do remember as I was going up there, counting my key items and seeing there's 9, and just thought it would still be faster to go get the grind out of the way and start hunting down the boss and finishing up the last couple of objectives.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you never know where that 10th key item's hiding. It can definitely take a long time to find it.
I do need to practice my giant grind a little bit. I think I have to reset 4 times up there.
Yeah, it can be a tricky thing to learn and get used to, especially if you're trying to do it blind. But yeah, one of those skills that once you've got it, it feels so good to pull off.
Yeah, you've had a great run in the tournament, especially for someone who is fairly new, at least to the community and the Discord at large. I think your first community race was sometime in January or something.
Just started doing it this year. I've been playing the free enterprise for since the first couple of months it came out, on and off, but just picked it up a little bit more recently.
Yeah, we're definitely phenomenal talent at this game. Competing for that little amount of time and getting this far in the tournament, knocking out one of the best players in the entire community. So you have had one amazing tournament run, absolutely one to be proud of. So hopefully we're going to see you around for some competitions in the future.
Absolutely, I can't wait to get into the next one.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much. Were there any other final thoughts on this seed or the tournament as a whole that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'd just like to say GG's to Zilch, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the tournament. Same for the rest of the competitors, and thanks to everybody who worked on this. It was really a lot of fun.
Awesome. We're happy to have you. Fantastic having you on the being restream tonight. It's Beer Nerd, everybody, ending the tournament journey here, but make sure to keep an eye on him. Definitely going to be going very, very far in free enterprise in the future. Absolutely phenomenal talent here.
Thank you very much.
Take care. And I believe that is going to do it for us tonight. Yeah, how do you feel about that race, Antidale?
That was a really good race. A little sad that it just wasn't a little bit closer, but there was good choices, some very aware, heads-up, well-thought-out reasons for everyone doing.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where, you know, up until the major turning point could have gone away. Just really solid play from both of the runners here tonight. Really indicative of, you know, what we can see going forward as this tournament starts thinning out the herd of it.
Yeah, definitely excited for the 2 races tomorrow, both at, I believe it is 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock Eastern time. We'll have Invenerable, Big Dunka at that 3 o'clock race that will be hosted on Free Enterprise. And then we have Flurry 14 and Dark Kobold at pretty much right after at 5 o'clock here on RPG Limit Break, or at least likely here on Limit Break. Yeah,
definitely look forward to both of those as we finalize the final 8 and move on in the tournament. I believe we're going to be sending you over to Gambit here tonight, one of our community members who is doing some community race practice. So definitely show him some love. But I believe that'll do it for us. So for the rest of my team here tonight, Scala Kitty doing the restream, Twisted Flex doing the tracking, and my co-commentator Antidale, I am Smatey. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend.